you wouldn't take all the credit for it, would you? You're too modest, but it was an epic season, thanks to the vagaries of the tyre technology and the random selection of compounds that you took to races. You must have come out of the season very happy.
Well, if I compare where I was this time last year, I was actually in Bahrain this week last year. We were testing. A lot of press, obviously, saying, what's happening, big changes, a lot of drivers unhappy. But we were very confident of what we were asked to do and what we were going to deliver. We felt that the request to try and make the racing interesting was something we could do. The first few races, obviously, were very different for a lot of the drivers, particularly. But at the end of the season, as you quite rightly say, we had a lot of very happy people. Teams were happy. Bernie was happy. The viewing figures were up, and we feel we played our part in the package with the KERS and the DRS.
I think if you talk to the people on the inside, the tyres were the key factor, not the drag reduction system or the KERS. It was the tyres, wasn't it? Are they going to last? Are they not? Are they hard? Are they soft? Are they super soft? Are they intermediate?
Well, we're quite modest from that point of view. We accept that we're one part of that package, and I think it's hard to really divide out everything from those three technologies. But at the end of the season, it was quite strange to be criticised sometimes for being conservative. When we started the year with everybody saying maybe we pushed it too far the other way. So I think overall we're very happy, and we need to try and replicate that in 2012.
Presumably you just fulfilled the brief that you got from the FIA to bring in these new tyres, and that worked well, didn't it?
Well, it was very hard to do. I mean, people probably don't sort of understand how difficult it is to do, because if you get it wrong and a tyre's lasting, say, 200 kilometres, you're back to the one change per race, and to give the 3 tyre stops that we were asked to do meant that we had to do a lot of work. There's 20 different circuits, there's obviously 12 different chassis, 24 drivers. To try and balance that out and get something that works with only 4 compounds was extremely difficult.
Just give us an indication of the changes for 2012. What's going to be different in Formula One in terms of tyres?
Well, we're changing 3 of the compounds. The hard, medium, and the soft compounds are changing. We're making the performance differences between them much closer together. They're going to be faster as well. And we've changed the profile of the rear tyre, a little bit of work on the construction to try and give a little bit more footprint, because we assume, maybe incorrectly, there'll be a little bit less downforce in 2012, at least at the start of the season. So we're trying to give a little bit more footprint in the rear tyre. But with the knowledge we now have, and of course last year it was all new, every circuit was new to us with Formula One, we feel that we can make more aggressive choices with our compound selections for each race.
And of course the cars haven't changed fundamentally, have they, over the winters? So you've got a good performance base to work from.
Well, the blown diffuser's gone, so there will be a difference, I believe, in cornering speed. But these guys in the teams are the best engineers in the world, and you wouldn't underestimate Adrian Newey to come up with something else, would you, to recuperate anything they've lost?
So you guys, presumably, you've sat down with the FIA, you've sat down with the teams, you've sat down with the drivers. Has it been a sort of an open book? Have the levels of communication been good? Everybody knows what everybody wants? Because in Formula One, that's not often the case, is it?
Well, I mean, at the end of the season, we had a discussion with a lot of the team principals, and you've got to bear in mind there's a lot of different interests in the sport. If you're an engineer, you'd probably want from a tyre maker something that lasts a long time and extremely stable. The team principals, of course, have a different view, because they understand it's a sport. We need to make sure that the sport is interesting. So Martin Whitmarsh, I think, gave a good comment in Brazil, where he said he wants Pirelli next year to challenge us again and push the barriers. So that's what we will be trying to do.
And are you happy with where you're at now? Early January. When are we going to start seeing some of the fruits of your labours over the winter?
Well, we have the first tests in the first week of February, so it's not far away. It's not easy, the winter testing, because we're down at 6 degrees, 7 degrees centigrade, which is not something that we see during the Formula One season. This year, I think it was Germany, we saw 16 degrees, which was the lowest temperature, and Abu Dhabi was 49, the highest temperature. So the winter testing can often throw you off in the wrong direction. But we've done a lot of testing with the Toyota. We modified the 2009 car to increase the downforce. We believe that's given us a fair bit of information to choose the compounds for this season. We've also done the young driver test in Abu Dhabi, where we tried out 3 of the new compounds. So we believe we have a good baseline anyway for choosing the compounds for this year.
It's very hard to simulate away from sort of Grand Prix weekend action, exactly what you're going to get, isn't it? Especially with an old car.
It is, particularly with compounds. I mean, in terms of structure, that's fine. We do a lot of work with simulators these days, and there's a lot of development that happens, which is in a virtual sense, pretty much like the teams themselves. You know, all the top teams and practically all the teams today have a simulator where they do their car development. But when it gets to compounds, because it's a very complex interaction between the car, the surface of the track, and it changes during the weekend even, you know, the amount of rubber that goes down, the cleaning of the track. So you're quite right, the compounds tend to be the most difficult element, but we're not forced to keep the same compounds all season. If we find that we're being too conservative or too aggressive, we have the option of changing them.
Are you going to be tweaking the coloured bands on the outside? Are there any improvements in that sphere, or does it work well?
Yeah, I mean, probably the biggest criticism we had all year was that it was hard to make out, you know, sometimes the colours on the side of the tyres. In reality, we did make some changes after Singapore. We used a different type of branding. We're going to increase the width of the bands on the tyres, and we believe that will help certainly the commentators more often than not to recognise what tyres are on the car. We're working with FOM management to make sure that there's some on-screen graphics telling the viewer what is actually being used on the car. We'll have to wait and see after the first race to see if that's worked.
Quick word about rallying, because that's where obviously where you're... Is that me? That's horrible, isn't it? Rallying is where your roots lie. Any plans for Pirelli to go back to rallying?
Well, rallying is a big love of ours, and we're unhappy in many ways that we're not in the World Rally Championship. Clearly, the championship at the moment is having a strange period of time. You know, the promoter has just gone unfortunately bankrupt, and a new promoter has been found. But we certainly envisage our return to rallying in the sooner rather than later.
Do you think you could run parallel programs in Formula One and WRC?
Yeah, absolutely, and we're looking at other very high-profile programs around the world. You know, our intention is to reinforce our motorsport presence all over the world. We have over 120 national championships we're involved in. We've just agreed to continue our partnership here with the BRC and also the Mini Challenge. So every day we're looking at new opportunities, and we intend to be a major player in world motorsport. Okay,
congratulations on an epic first season. We look forward to more of the same in 2012. Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Hembery.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Paul.